KOTLC Chapter 12 Keef.
The point of this is for you to talk, remember, Dex said, glancing over his shoulder before he turned back to Keef. Hey, don't look at me like that. You hailed me. I could be doing lots of other things right now instead of sitting here, watching you pout. Rex has been doing enough of that. He's not pouting, he's brooding, Ro corrected. Pouting would have his shoulders hunched and his lip jutting out more. And sulking would have his eyes all downcast. Wow. I kind of hate myself for knowing that. Clearly I've been spending too much time with the silent, moody boy. Dex cracked up. But his smile faded when Keef pressed his lips tighter. You need to say something, he told Keef. That's the only way we're going to know if this works. And it will. Trust me. Elwyn nudged Keef with his elbow. Remember, I can't hear a thing with these earplugs in. So I can help if it starts to get funky. Keef snorted. Funky made this ability sound like it was just a silly little quirk he was learning to live with. I know you're scared, Dex told him. And I know our other tests haven't gone very well. But I swear, this one will be different. Keef sighed. It better be different. Otherwise hard changes were coming, he had to hold himself to that. Maybe you need some topic ideas. Rose suggested. Let's see. I mean, you're both elves, so you could probably talk about sparkles for days, but who wants to listen to that? Oh, you're both pretty good at pranking. Not as good as me, of course. But who is? Oh. We could plan something for when school starts, make that great Gillen thing seem like child's play. Whose game? Keef shook his head. Dex glanced over his shoulder again, looking distracted. Okay, fine. You're clearly intimidated by my pranking genius. Can't blame you for that. Let's see, what else is there? Ro tapped her chin with one of her red claws. It needs to be something that'll get Hunky Hair fired up, so he'll be able to see if using this gadget thing is safe. Which means our best bet is probably Blondie. You mean Sophie? Dex asked, whipping back around to face them. Yep. I'm sure you both have lots to say about her. Dex cleared his throat. Not really. I mean, she's my best friend, but come on, Dexy, Ro interrupted. You're among friends. And Hunky Hair told me about your smooch fest with the mysterious Miss F. High five, by the way. Dex turned so red, it looked like flames were about to curl out of his ears. Wait, was that a secret? Ro asked. I figured you must have been shouting that from the rooftops. Especially since Captain Perfect Pants hasn't gotten any lip action, and he probably won't, now that Fitzvy's unraveling. It is. Dex asked. Ro's eyebrows shot up. You haven't noticed? Wow. Obliviousness is rampant here in Sparkle Town. I'm not oblivious, Dex argued. It's just, none of my business. Really? I thought she was your best friend. Oh, does the smooching thing make it awkward for you guys? Dex sank lower in his chair. Why are we talking about this? Because I'm trying to get a rise out of my boy. Ro put a hand on Keef's shoulder, jostling him. Nothing you want to say, Hunky Hair? I bet Dexy could relate, if you wanted to unload on him. In fact, you guys should totally do one of those dude commiseration convos. I bet it would help with all the angst. Keef tried to decide if he wanted to shove his imparter down her throat or slither under his bed and never come back out. Slithering seemed like the best option when Dex asked, what angst? But he thankfully got distracted by whatever seemed to be going on behind him. Is this a bad time? Keef asked. Dex whipped back around. Hey, you talked? And see? Nothing happened. Not yet, Keef mumbled. Ro poked him in the side with her claw. You need to speak up. Enunciate, like you do when you're getting all command Y. I'm also happy to help overwhelm you so we can see if that changes anything. She poked his side again. And again. And again. Okay, I think I see a flaw in this plan. Elwyn cut in as a word started to bubble up Keith's throat. The test is supposed to see if Keith is affected by Dex or if Dex is affected by him. So they should probably be talking alone. Ah, but that sounds like way less fun. Ro whined. Elwyn dragged her toward the door. We'll be right out here in the hall, he told Keith. Just remember I can't hear you, so if something happens, you'll need to come get me. Or me. Ro added. But I'll totally be eavesdropping because I'm not scared of your elf-y abilities. Dex cleared his throat when the door slammed shut. Your bodyguard is interesting. That's one way of putting it, Keith muttered, then froze. I'm fine, Dex told him. Seriously, talk as much as you want. It's not going to affect me. Keith swallowed, trying to get some moisture back into his mouth again. But his voice still crackled when he said, I swear, I'm starting to forget how to do this. I bet. Dex reached into his pocket, pulling out some piece of circuitry to fidget with. You've had a rough few days. Well, I guess it's been a rough few years, huh? Pretty much my entire life, Keith corrected. He hated how whiny that sounded, so he added, but it is what it is. You don't have to do that, Dex told him. It's okay to talk about it. I'm happy to. He whipped his head around again. Looks like there's something else you should be dealing with right now, Keith noted. Nah, I'm enjoying a break from the madness. You can't hear all the squealing and crashes because I added noise cancelling to my imparter. But it's full-fledged mayhem downstairs. Bex and Lex manifested a couple of hours ago. Wow, both of them at the same time. Yep. It was super unexpected and awesome, of course. Especially since so many people, he didn't finish the sentence. But Keith was well aware of how judgy everyone was about the Disney triplets, since their parents were a bad match. Rex didn't manifest, he asked. Not yet, which is normal, Dex added quickly. Maybe even a little defensively. Just because they're triplets doesn't mean they do everything the same, you know. Bex started walking days before the others. And Rex is still the only one who can do cartwheels. Makes sense, Keith agreed. But that's why Rex has been pouting, Dex admitted. And I can't really blame him. Especially since Lex keeps pelting him with snowballs. So Lex is a froster? Keith asked. Yep. Just like my mom. The hole downstairs looks like a blizzard tore through the house. He's actually showing pretty solid control, which may not be a good thing, since I'm pretty sure it means I'm going to wake up trapped in a giant ice cube. Keith laughed. Sounds about right. Dex sighed. Yep. My life is about to get even more chaotic. I don't even want to think about the pranks Bex is going to pull once she figures out how to walk through walls without getting stuck. She's a phaser. Yeah, and she's definitely still getting the hang of it. My dad's down there trying to help her pull her feet out of the floor. So weird, right? It was. But Keith didn't understand why he felt so twitchy all of a sudden. It felt like he was missing something. He sat up straighter. Wait, that's why their hands felt so weird. What do you mean? Remember how I said Lex's hand felt freezing? Bex's hand also felt sorta squishy. I didn't mention it because there was so much else going on. But they must have already been manifesting. Dex frowned. What? Keith asked, lowering his voice. Have I been talking too much? He'd gotten so distracted that he'd forgotten to watch his tone. No, it's fine. I told you using the imparter protects me. I was always taught that manifesting was like flipping a switch. 1 second you don't have any power. And the next second, boom. Well, but it might be different for some people, Keith reminded. True. Dex fidgeted with the piece of circuitry, twisting one of the wires so tight it looked ready to snap. But I held their hands when we leaped home, and I didn't notice anything squishy or freezing about them. And Rex didn't think Lex felt cold either, remember? It was Keith's turn to frown. What are you saying? I don't know. Dex leaned closer and lowered his voice before he added, It kinda sounds like you sensed that they were going to manifest. And you even knew their exact abilities. Keith sucked in a breath. But that's not a thing. No one can do that, not even the ability detecting mentors. Right, but new powers happen sometimes, Dex reminded him. Maybe all the changes to your empathy allow for it or something. I don't know, it definitely sounds weird, but so is what happened to you, you know? And it sorta makes sense, doesn't it? No. Nothing about this made sense. You don't think I triggered their abilities, do you? Keith asked quietly. I was just wondering that, but I don't think so, because Rex still hasn't manifested, remember? Did you feel anything when you held his hand? Keith closed his eyes and replayed the memory, then replayed it again. He wanted to be absolutely certain before he answered. Well, I actually did feel something, he admitted. But I don't really know how to describe it. It was kinda hollow, somehow. A little empty. Empty, Dex repeated. I'm trying to think of what that could be. A shade, maybe. Or a vanisher. Have you been around Tam or Biana to compare? No. But I don't know that it matters. I didn't feel anything with you or Elwyn or Fitz or even Sophie. Only the triplets. Well, and what? Dex asked. Keith shook his head, desperately searching all of his recent memories, hoping to find some other sensation he'd missed. What? Dex repeated. Come on, Keith, you have to tell me. Technically, Keith didn't have to do anything. He could lie. Switch off his imparter. Flee the lost cities forever. All of that sounded way better than answering. Because if he was right, then this was so much huger than sensing someone manifesting. It was even bigger than numbing people with his commands. But maybe he was wrong. So he told Dex, I felt the same emptiness when your dad put his hand on my shoulder, and I think that means I can only feel something when it's someone who hasn't manifested. Okay, Dex said, dragging out the word. But, my dad's talentless. Keith nodded. Dex swallowed hard and nodded too. He opened his mouth, and Keith wanted to beg him not to say whatever he was thinking, because once he said it, it'd be this real thing they'd have to deal with. But Dex still mumbled, so, you're saying Rex is going to be talentless?